The alarm clock screamed at 5:30 a.m., piercing through the thin walls of the small apartment on Chicago's South Side. Keisha Washington's eyes fluttered open, but something was wrong. Her head felt like it was filled with cotton, and her body ached in ways that made even breathing feel like work. "Mama, you okay?" 6-year-old Amara poked her head around the corner, her natural hair pulled into 2 neat puffs that Keisha had braided the night before. Keisha tried to sit up, but the room spun violently. "I'm fine, baby. Just tired." But she wasn't fine. She'd been running on fumes for months, working 3 jobs to keep their heads above water since her mother's medical bills had drained their savings account. Today was supposed to be different. Today was the interview at Carter Medical Solutions, the administrative position that could change everything. Health insurance, steady hours, a chance to use the medical knowledge she'd been studying in night classes before life got in the way. Keisha stumbled to the bathroom, gripping the doorframe as another wave of dizziness hit her. In the cracked mirror, she looked like a ghost of herself. Dark circles under her eyes, skin pale and clammy. She'd pushed too hard for too long, and her body was finally rebelling. "Mama, you look sick," Amara said, appearing beside her with the wisdom that only comes to children who've had to grow up too fast. "I just need some medicine, baby. Today's important, remember? Mama's got that big interview." Amara nodded solemnly. At 6 years old, she understood more about their situation than any child should have to. She'd heard the whispered phone calls about overdue rent, seen her mother cry over bills when she thought Amara was sleeping. Keisha tried to get dressed, but her hands shook as she reached for her one good interview outfit. The black blazer she'd bought at Goodwill, the skirt she'd hemmed herself. But as she stood up, her legs gave out completely. "Mama!" Amara rushed to her side as Keisha collapsed onto the bed, her breathing shallow and rapid. "Call Mrs. Patterson next door," Keisha whispered, her vision blurring. Tell her Mama needs help." 20 minutes later, Keisha was in the back of an ambulance, Mrs. Patterson holding her hand while Amara watched from the apartment doorway with wide, scared eyes. The paramedic said something about exhaustion and dehydration, possible pneumonia. From her hospital bed 2 hours later, Keisha made the call she'd been dreading. "Carter Medical Solutions, this is Rosa speaking." "Hi, this is Keisha Washington. I have an interview scheduled for 10 a.m. with Drive Carter, but I'm in the hospital and—" "Hold please." The line went silent for what felt like an eternity. A different voice came on, crisp and professional. "Ms. Washington, this is Janet from Human Resources. Dr. Carter's schedule is extremely tight. If you can't make today's appointment, we'll have to move forward with other candidates. Please, I just need to reschedule for tomorrow or even this afternoon. I've been preparing for months. I'm sorry, but the position needs to be filled today. We wish you the best." Keisha stared at the phone, tears streaming down her face. 3 years of studying medical terminology while working overnight shifts. Months of preparing for this one opportunity. Gone. Back at the apartment, Mrs. Patterson was trying to distract Amara with cartoons, but the little girl's attention was fixed on her mother's interview folder lying on the kitchen table. She'd watched Keisha practice her answers dozens of times, reciting information about patient care and medical billing procedures. "Mrs. Patterson, what time is Mama's interview?" "Baby, your mama had to cancel because she's sick." Amara shook her head firmly. "No, ma'am. Mama said this job is gonna save us. She said we won't have to worry about the rent man anymore." Mrs. Patterson's heart broke watching this 6-year-old carry such heavy burdens. "Sweetie, your mama will find another job. They said no more chances." Amara had sharp ears and had overheard more of the phone call than anyone realized. But Mama worked so hard. She knows all the medical words. She deserves that job. An idea began forming in Amara's young mind, the kind of idea that seems perfectly logical to a child but terrifying to any adult who might have tried to stop her. "Mrs. Patterson, I need to use the bathroom." But instead of going to the bathroom, Amara went to her room and put on her favorite dress. the navy blue one with small flowers that Keisha had splurged on for Easter. She combed her hair as best she could and put on her good shoes, the patent leather ones that pinched her toes but made her feel grown up. She grabbed her mother's interview folder and the emergency $20 bill Keisha kept hidden in the cookie jar. By the time Mrs. Patterson noticed the apartment was too quiet, Amara was already on the bus. The ride to downtown Chicago seemed to take forever. Amara clutched the folder against her chest, practicing what she would say. She'd been to the big buildings downtown once before with her mother, and she remembered how different everything looked. All glass and steel reaching toward the sky like something from a movie. Carter Medical Solutions occupied 3 floors of the Morrison Building, a gleaming tower that made Amara crane her neck back just to see the top. In the lobby, her shoes clicked against the marble floor as she approached the security desk. "Excuse me, little lady, are you lost?" The security guard, Rosa, was a heavy-set black woman in her 50s who immediately felt protective seeing this small child in the corporate lobby. "No ma'am, I'm here for my mama's interview." Rosa blinked. "Your mama's interview?" "Yes ma'am. My mama is Keisha Washington and she has an interview with Dr. Carter at 10 o'clock, but she got sick and went to the hospital. So I came instead." Rosa looked around expecting to see an adult nearby. "Sweetie, where are the grown-ups? How did you get here?" "I took the bus. Mama taught me the numbers." Amara held up the folder. "I know everything Mama was gonna say. She practiced with me every night." This was definitely not in Rosa's security manual. "Baby, you can't just. Please." Amara's voice was small but determined. "My mama really needs this job. We're gonna lose our apartment if she doesn't get it, and then where will we sleep?" Rosa's heart clenched. She had grandchildren Amara's age, and the thought of this baby riding Chicago buses alone made her both impressed and terrified. "What's your mama's name again?" "Keisha Washington. She knows all about medical stuff. She studies every night after work, even when she's real tired." Rosa picked up the phone, her mind racing. This situation was way above her pay grade. 3 floors up, Dr. Samuel Carter was reviewing quarterly reports when his assistant knocked on his office door. "Dr. Carter, there's a situation in the lobby." Sam barely looked up. At 34, he'd built Carter Medical Solutions into one of the most successful healthcare management companies in the Midwest through relentless focus and an unwillingness to be distracted by anything that didn't directly impact the bottom line. "Handle it, Margaret." "Sir, it involves the 10 a.m. interview. There's a child here claiming to represent the candidate." Now Sam looked up. "What?" Rosa from security called. Apparently, Keisha Washington's 6-year-old daughter came for the interview because her mother is hospitalized. Sam's jaw tightened. This was exactly the kind of publicity nightmare he didn't need. Call building security and have them contact child services. Get the situation contained before anyone sees. But Margaret hesitated. "Sir, Rosa says the child is asking very specifically to speak with you. She's been sitting in the lobby for an hour and she's not causing a scene. She's just waiting." Something in Margaret's tone made Sam pause. In the 3 years since he'd taken over the company after his mentor's death, he'd become known for his ice-cold business decisions. People called him brilliant but ruthless, successful but heartless. Maybe they were right. "I don't have time for this. The thing is, sir, half the lobby has noticed her by now. She's quite well-spoken for her age, and Rosa says she's been politely declining offers of help from other visitors. Word is starting to spread on social media about the little girl waiting for her chance to help her mother." Sam closed his eyes. In the age of viral videos, the last thing he needed was footage of him ignoring a child. 5 minutes. Bring her up. When the elevator doors opened, Sam expected to see a typical kid, maybe crying, definitely overwhelmed by the corporate environment. Instead, he saw Amara walking beside Rosa with perfect posture, her small hand gripping the interview folder like it contained the secrets of the universe. "Dr. Carter?" Amara looked up at him with serious brown eyes that seemed far too old for her face. Thank you for seeing me. I'm Amara Washington and I'm here about my mama's job interview. Sam found himself momentarily speechless. This wasn't a scared child. This was a tiny professional on a mission. Amara, is it? Why don't you sit down? He gestured to the chairs in his office, watching as she carefully arranged her dress and placed the folder on her lap. My mama was supposed to be here at 10 o'clock, but she collapsed this morning and had to go to the hospital. The lady on the phone said there wouldn't be another chance, but my mama deserves this job more than anybody. And why is that? Amara opened the folder with careful precision. Because she knows everything about medical stuff and she cares about helping people get better. See, my grandma got real sick last year and Mama learned all about insurance and medical bills and patient rights because she wanted to make sure Grandma got the best care. She pulled out Keisha's carefully typed resume. Mama works 3 jobs right now. She cleans offices at night, works at the hospital during the day helping patients, and she does medical billing for Dr. Rodriguez on weekends. But she wants to work here because your company helps lots of hospitals take better care of people. Sam found himself leaning forward despite himself. What makes you think your mother would be good at this job? Well, she already knows all the medical words. Listen. Amara straightened up like she was giving a presentation. She understands HIPAA regulations for patient privacy. She knows about CPT codes and ICD-10 diagnostics. She can explain Medicare and Medicaid differences to patients so they understand their options. Sam's eyebrows rose. Those weren't concepts a 6-year-old should know. Mama practices explaining things to me so she can help patients better. She says sick people are already scared, so you have to talk to them in words that make sense, not doctor words that make them more scared. And where did your mother learn all this? Amara's face lit up with pride. She takes classes at the community college when she can afford them. But mostly she studies library books after I go to bed. Sometimes I wake up and she's still reading at the kitchen table with her highlighter, making notes in the margins. For the first time in months, Sam felt something stir in his chest that wasn't related to profit margins or market share. You rode the bus here by yourself? Yes, sir. Mama taught me how to be safe on public transportation. She says a smart girl needs to know how to navigate the world. Weren't you scared? Amara considered this seriously. A little bit. But Mama is always scared too and she does brave things anyway. She's scared when she goes to her second job at night, but she goes because we need the money. She's scared when she takes tests at school, but she studies real hard first. Being scared doesn't mean you don't do what needs doing. Sam stared at this remarkable child, seeing qualities in her that he rarely found in the adults he interviewed. Courage, intelligence, loyalty, determination. What do you want to be when you grow up, Amara? I want to be a doctor like you so I can help people and make enough money so my mama never has to work 3 jobs again. The words hit Sam like a physical blow. He thought about his own childhood, growing up in foster care after his parents died in a car accident. The nights he'd gone to bed hungry, the adults who'd seen him as a burden rather than a child with dreams. Your mother is very lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have her too. She's the best mama in the world, even when she's tired and worried about money. She still reads to me every night and helps me with my homework and tells me I'm smart enough to be anything I want to be. Sam made a decision that surprised even him. Amara, I'm going to visit your mother in the hospital this afternoon. Will you give me the address? Amara's eyes went wide. Really? You'll still give her the interview? I think your mother has already passed the most important interview of all. What do you mean? She raised a daughter brave enough to cross the city to fight for her dreams. That tells me everything I need to know about Keisha Washington's character. That afternoon, Sam walked into Chicago General Hospital carrying the largest bouquet of flowers the gift shop had to offer. He found Keisha in a shared room staring at the ceiling with hollow eyes. Ms. Washington? I'm Dr. Samuel Carter. Keisha's head snapped toward him, her face cycling through confusion, recognition, and then mortification. Oh God. Dr. Carter, I am so sorry. If Amara bothered you at your office, I had no idea. She didn't bother me. She impressed me. Sam pulled up a chair beside her bed. Your daughter is remarkable. Tears started flowing down Keisha's cheeks. I failed her. I couldn't even make it to the interview that could have changed our lives. You haven't failed anyone. Amara told me about your 3 jobs, your night classes, your dreams of working in healthcare administration. She told me about how you studied patient advocacy because you wanted to help your mother navigate her illness. Keisha wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She wasn't supposed to know about all that stress. Children see more than we think they do. But what I saw today wasn't a child burdened by stress. I saw a child inspired by her mother's strength. Sam leaned forward. I'd like to offer you the position, Ms. Washington. Director of Patient Services, starting salary $55,000 with full benefits including health insurance and tuition reimbursement for continuing education. Keisha stared at him in shock. But I didn't even interview. Your daughter interviewed for you. And frankly, it was the most compelling interview I've ever conducted. The next 3 months passed like a dream Keisha was afraid to wake up from. The job at Carter Medical Solutions was everything she'd hoped for and more. She developed patient care protocols that improved satisfaction scores across all their partner hospitals. She created educational materials that helped patients understand their treatment options. For the first time in years, she wasn't exhausted all the time. But the most unexpected development was the relationship that grew between her family and Dr. Carter. Sam, as he'd asked them to call him outside of work. It started with Amara. Every Friday after school, she would come to the office and do her homework in the break room while waiting for Keisha to finish work. The staff adored her, but it was Sam who seemed most transformed by her presence. He would find excuses to check on her, bringing her books about medicine and science. He taught her about the human circulatory system using diagrams on his whiteboard. He listened patiently to her questions about everything from why people get sick to whether dogs dream. You know, Amara said one Friday afternoon as Sam explained how X-rays work, you're really good at teaching kids stuff. Thank you. You're really good at learning. Did you ever want to have kids of your own? The question caught Sam off guard. I haven't really thought about it. Well, if you did want kids, you'd be a really good daddy. Sam's chest tightened in a way that was becoming familiar whenever Amara said things that cut straight to the heart of matters he'd been avoiding his whole adult life. As Thanksgiving approached, Sam found himself looking forward to Fridays more than any other day of the week. Not because it was the end of the work week, but because it meant Amara would be there, filling his sterile office with laughter and curiosity and a warmth he'd never allowed himself to imagine. Keisha noticed the change in both of them. Sam smiled more, laughed more, seemed less driven by the relentless ambition that everyone said defined him. And Amara talked about Dr. Sam constantly, sharing everything he'd taught her about medicine and business and life. Mama, Amara said one evening as Keisha tucked her into their new bed in their new apartment, the one with heat that worked and windows that didn't stick. Do you think Dr. Sam gets lonely? Why do you ask that, baby? Because he works all the time and he doesn't have a family to go home to. And sometimes when he thinks I'm not looking, he gets this sad look on his face. Keisha's heart ached for both of them. For Sam, who'd built walls so high around himself that he'd forgotten what it felt like to be truly connected to other people, and for Amara, who was developing feelings for a man who might not be able to love her back the way she deserved. The Friday before Christmas, Carter Medical Solutions hosted their annual holiday party. Families were invited, and the office was decorated with twinkling lights and a massive tree that made Amara gasp with delight. Sam had been dreading the event. Forced socializing wasn't his strong suit, but watching Amara's joy as she explored the decorations and chatted with his employees made everything worthwhile. Dr. Carter, she said, appearing at his elbow as he watched the party from the edge of the room, will you dance with me? He looked around at the other families swaying to soft holiday music. I'm not much of a dancer, Amara. That's okay. I'll teach you. She held out her small hand with complete confidence that he would take it. And he did. As they swayed together on the makeshift dance floor, Amara's head barely reaching his waist, Sam felt something shift inside him. For 34 years he'd believed that love was weakness, that caring too much made you vulnerable to loss and pain. But looking down at this remarkable child who'd changed his life by simply showing up and being herself, he realized he'd been wrong about everything. Dr. Sam. Amara's voice was soft, almost shy. Yes. I know this might be weird to ask, but do you think maybe someday you might want to be my daddy? Not instead of my real daddy, because I never had one of those, but just my daddy. Sam's breath caught in his throat. Around them, the party continued, but in that moment, the entire world narrowed to this brave little girl who'd somehow managed to crack open his carefully guarded heart. He knelt down so they were eye to eye. Amara, there is nothing in this world I would want more. Her smile was brighter than all the Christmas lights combined. Really? Really? But we should probably ask your mama what she thinks about that idea. They looked across the room to where Keisha was talking with other employees, and as if sensing their attention, she turned toward them. The look on her face, surprise, hope, love, and maybe just a little fear, told Sam everything he needed to know. Later that night, after Amara had fallen asleep clutching a stuffed reindeer from the party, Sam and Keisha sat in her small living room talking about the future. I never expected this, Keisha admitted. When Amara came home that first day talking about the nice doctor who listened to her talk about you, I thought it was just a sweet story. I never imagined that a man who'd spent his whole life avoiding emotional connections would fall in love with both of you. Keisha looked at him in surprise. Is that what this is? I think it started the moment your daughter walked into my office and told me that being scared doesn't mean you don't do what needs doing. She was talking about you, but she could have been describing what it feels like to let people into your life. And now, Sam reached for her hand. Now I can't imagine my life without either of you in it. On Christmas morning, Sam knocked on their door at 8 a.m. with his arms full of presents and his heart full of hope. As Amara tore through wrapping paper and Keisha made coffee in her tiny kitchen, he marveled at how completely his life had changed. 6 months ago he'd been a successful, lonely man who measured his worth in profit margins and market share. Today he was part of a family, not through blood or marriage or any traditional definition, but through something much stronger. He was part of a family built on courage, the kind of courage that sends a 6-year-old girl across a city to fight for her mother's dreams, and the kind of courage that lets a guarded man open his heart to the possibility of love. As Amara showed him each of her new books and toys, chattering excitedly about everything Santa had brought, Sam caught Keisha's eye across the room. She smiled at him with such warmth and gratitude that he felt his chest expand with a happiness he'd never known was possible. This was what it meant to show up for the people you love. This was what it meant to be brave enough to let yourself need others and to let them need you in return. And it had all started with the smallest shoes and the biggest heart walking into his office on an ordinary Tuesday morning, proving that sometimes the most extraordinary things come in the smallest packages. This isn't the end. Watch out for what happened next in part 2.